Welcome, friends.
Hi, everyone. We're glad you could join us once again. I hope you have your cup of hot beverage to start off the day. And there's a lot happening this week around here. And one of the things that's happening is the full moon.
Yes, week of the full moon.
Yes, we think that the full moon is the day before and the day after, as well as the day of. And today is the full moon.
So that helps extend the full moon a little bit.
It does, and because it's almost 98, 99% full anyway.
Sure.
And this is the time we always like to make our full moon tea, taking a big jar out and putting in lemon balm.
Fresh lemon balm is one of our favorite herbs.
It is, and we could add a little bit of lavender to it, a few rose petals to it, and of course spearmint. And spearmint boosts the flavor of everything that we do, any of our teas that we make. We do love our spearmint.
We do. We add it to a lot of the teas that we blend, and a lot of people say that they like peppermint, and we don't actually use peppermint very much. It's a very powerful mint, and it actually was not the original mint. Spearmint was the original mint. And that's the one that we like to use. Our favorite mint actually is Kentucky Colonel Spearmint. I'm sure you probably, if you follow us, you've heard us talk about that before. So we always recommend people growing lemon balm and spearmint because those are two very easy to grow herbs, and they're so wonderful to use in a daily beverage. It's just delicious.
A lot of people are afraid of mint because it does spread.
Aggressive,
It's a little bit aggressive, but it is worth growing. And
yeah, for sure.
mint can be grown in a pot, but I actually prefer it in a half of a big barrel, like a wooden barrel, because then the roots don't get baked inside with the hot sun.
Right.
And that's always an important thing to think about when you have pots sitting out in the sun. However, I grow my mint on the east side of my home. If it creeps out a little too far, we just mow a swath of it off, and it smells so good. And I've had it growing for about 10 years already in that one spot.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. You just go and clip your mint and make your drink, and it's so rewarding, immediately rewarding. And people, of course, when you serve friends, they love it. They want to know what you're serving them, and then it opens the door to people's hearts, I think, a little bit to herbs, because it's like, oh, I could grow this too, and they're off.
Something as simple as mint water.
Exactly. Yeah.
A sprig of mint in a little pitcher of water.
Yeah, and then add whatever you really want to
If you want to.
Sure. Yeah, so we love doing that for the full moon. So we'll be setting our big jar of fresh mint, fresh lemon balm, a little bit of rose, a little bit of lavender out under the full moon.
Yes, we will.
To absorb those full moon energies. We love that. It's a little bit of magic in our lives.
Yes.
And I think it's important to take the time to cultivate that magic and that wonder a little bit in our lives, especially, in the summertime.
Yes, and if you have children around at all, or grandchildren, they will love doing that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's something special.
It is, yeah. And they, of course, their kids are enamored with the full moon. I remember one of my kids in particular was just enamored with the full moon or with the moon in general. And I love that. We really tried to cultivate that.
We still are enamored with it.
We are, that's right.
This is also the week where I will unearth my little bundle that I buried out in by the lavender roots, and it is a bundle of cloth made into a little booklet. I used old linen, and I put some petals of my great-grandma's purple iris on the book, and so that will dye into it. And we'll see what's left of this book. If you watch the March 18th talk, you will see where I started this. It's a 2-part session. It was made on the spring equinox, and then I buried half of the booklet into the ground and to the earth. And we will unearth that with a little ritual later today.
On the summer solstice.
Which is summer solstice. Yes, and so we'll kind of see what's left of that booklet and such. And there is a little thing about it, when you... we have to sometimes let things go. And so if it's there, it comes back, I get to keep it. But if not, we let it go. So we'll talk about that more next week.
I love that. I can't wait to see.
But that's part of my summer solstice ritual today. Yes.
Yeah, it's nice to have some summer solstice rituals. And the
Yes.
fact that it really corresponds this year with the full moon makes it extra magical, doesn't it?
It does.
Summer solstice is one of our favorite holidays because it is the beginning of summer. And summer, of course, by the time we reach this point in our summer, a lot of our gatherings already been done, because when we are, as herbalists, we are about done. About summer solstice is when most of the aerial parts of the plants of herbs are they're pretty much done. They want to go to flower by now, and so this kind of is our transitioning into our little bit slower season as home herbalists. April and May and the beginning of June are really our busiest months, May in particular.
Truly.
Summer solstice is the longest day of the year here in the northern hemisphere. It's that tipping point between seasons. Now the days begin to get a little bit shorter each day until we get, of course, to winter solstice, where it switches back. And so we love doing some kind of ritual to acknowledge the season. It might have something to do with fire and water. Those are great elements to work with during the summer solstice season. It might have something to do with bees and pollinators because it's really their time of year. We're in the middle of National Pollinator Week right now. And last week we mentioned briefly fireflies because we both had just recently seen the first of the fireflies emerging. And we love fireflies. You know, and you may remember if you are our ages, how magical when you were kids it was to have all the fireflies sparkling in the night.
And we would chase them and such.
Yes.
But watch them in the air. I love that time of the evening when I go to look out the window and it's just almost dark. And there are the fireflies.
They are just like a little magic in the air. And it's so sad that we don't see as many of them as we used to, like so many of the insects. And so we really want to do what we can to support, when we talk about Pollinator Week, and I said last week, I'm not sure if lightning bugs are pollinators, so then I wanted to look it up and see, and they are pollinators. I didn't realize that. They really are. They're actually a beetle, and there's actually, when I was looking it up, I was amazed that there's 165 species of fireflies. Did you know that?
Fireflies only?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And we used to call them lightning bugs,
Yes.
which I love that too. And their larvae live in the ground. And so it's so important that we're very conscious of what we're doing with our earth because their larvae actually live in the ground for up to 2 years for some species. So for some species, a few months, for some species, a year, and for some species, it can be up to 2 years. And so what we do to the ground, of course, affects how well they're able to emerge as adults and give us those wonderful, magical, sparkling lights. And so we want to make sure that we are being conscious about what we're doing in our yards. They really like moist soil and organic matter, and so we want to make sure that we're leaving that for them as much as we can. So if there's a fallen log or something, if they're possible to leave it in your yard, leave it in your yard. That helps. That helps give some home for creatures like this, and the leaf debris, of course, in the fall. And if you mow your lawn on a regular basis, of course, if you live in town, you probably do. Is there an area, first of all, that you can leave unmowed, or can you at least mow your lawn 3 inches or more? Because fireflies like to mate in long grass. And so if we can set that mower to 3 inches or longer, that really helps them out too. And of course, we talked about last week too, if you can have some kind of water source like a bird bath or something like that in your yard, it's good for not only the birds, but the insects as well. And for fireflies, one of the most important things that we can do is reduce light pollution. So at night, shut off the outdoor lights so that they have darkness, they can see one another's flashing, so that they can mate and make more little firefly babies.
I've never thought of light as being much of a situation or a problem with it, but now we know.
Yeah.
And when we know,
when we know better, we do better,
that's
right?
right. I'd like to share with you a page from my 52-week cloth journal that I've been working on. This is called Fantasy Feather. And the feather is actually a motif that is used in quilting, and it's still being used today. It's a very old pattern. Feathers can be found a lot in my yard. It seems like I'm gifted with them quite often, and it's something I love to find. And I save my feathers that come through my doorway. So I really enjoy doing this feather. I especially love the batik that I used in this. We call the feather Hope, and because feathers kind of mean hope to us. And this is based on a verse by Emily Dixon. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And I really like that. And so it's a great joy doing this one. And I just wanted to share this one with you because it is a sweet little page in my book.
I love it. So beautiful.
It's fun.
So beautiful.
And we just talked about the summer solstice. So I mentioned before, we'll be unearthing my little bundle. And are you doing anything special for the summer solstice?
Yes, let us know.
If you are, share it with us. We'd love to know too, because we love to do our own little thing, kind of, and sometimes by ourselves, sometimes together. So whatever you do, you'll have fun, I know. And then may I close with this quote. And this is in the June chapter. And it says, "That beautiful season this summer, filled with the air with a dreamy and magical light, and the landscapes lay as if newly created in all the freshness of childhood." Isn't that wonderful?
That is wonderful.
Wadsworth Longfellow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And summer does remind us, I think, of childhood.
Yes.
Those days that seem to last forever.
And finding the fireflies.
Right.
Yes. We hope you'll find some fireflies too.
Some magic in your
Yes.
week.
And so we'll leave you for now and see you again next week.
Good earth blessings to you.